This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It's my worst date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Christina.
I'm Keegan.
And I'm Kelly.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
We did just spring that on you without telling you what we were about to do.
That's
We're
okay.
Like, she'll catch up.
You were going around the circle. I was like, ooh, do I get to be part of this intro?
You
That's
do.
right. Yeah, this is another installment of our double date series.
Yay.
And we are featuring the very lovely Kelly, host of Boobies and Noobies, which we are, it feels like a sister podcast.
It's
to
our
us
sister podcast
now.
for sure.
It's true.
We go way back.
That's how I think of it too, because
Yeah.
I feel like we were all sort of starting our podcast around the same time.
We were,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's we've been along for the journey together.
Yeah, and we've been on her show a couple of times, and it's
And now we
past
finally
time.
get it back.
Yeah, it's past time.
Finally, we're
Yeah.
putting you in
I'm
ours.
excited.
I'm
Well,
excited.
And I would have you on 8 more episodes of Boobies and Noobies. Fine by me.
It's
Please.
always a laugh. Oh my gosh. Like sometimes I think about those books that we've read. They come into my mind at like strange times. I think you're in our Facebook group and someone had said something about dating someone who doesn't curse and how they said like the weirdest shit during sex. And it just reminded me of that book we read where she's like having an orgasm for the first time and she's like, holy smokes. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That was the bad one. That was the bad one we read. And then we made up for it
We
with
did.
the
Yeah.
second one.
Yeah.
Spicy.
We read
Yes.
a holiday, a Hallmark holiday romance novel. So with that being said,
Hallmark's like, do not besmirch
Yep.
my good name.
Yeah, we're about to get sued for
Hallmark, but with dildos.
I take that back. Speaking of that, though, tell us a little bit about your show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, Boobies and Noobies. Our tagline is the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box. And I have newbies to the romance genre. Come on, read a romance novel. Discuss it with me, who I guess in this situation, I'm like the boobie in like the Boobies
You
and
are
Noobies.
the expert.
The
Yeah,
expert booby in the room.
It's my life. I love it. I've been reading them since I was 18, and I'm obsessed. So I love to share that obsession.
I mean, you never like it's because my mom had. Have you read The Clan of the Cave Bear?
yeah, no,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
man, does that sound great?
That's not a booby book.
Isn't it?
No.
There's some like sex scenes in it, right?
Maybe.
Just the title sounds like it
I read
could be
that
a
in
booby
like
book.
school.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had to look this up. It's something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering the title.
Okay.
But my mom had, and they weren't like hardcore or anything
Okay.
like that. But I remember that was like the first erotica that I
okay.
read. That
I
was
feel like for most people, it was The Notebook. Like I had friends who like
Yeah.
read The Notebook and they like dog-eared that like sex scene. And it's like
Right,
not, it's
right.
Nicholas
Yeah.
Sparks. So it's like not even spicy, but it
Yeah.
was like the first time that people were like, ooh.
There was some
Yeah.
spicy shit in the in the VC Andrews stuff.
Yes,
So that was my first-
like Flowers in the Attic.
Okay, that was gross though. That was
Yeah.
like family incest. That was
All
that was
of
the
her
level.
shit is
man.
gross. Like my sweet
My
Audrina.
sweet Adrena. Oh,
Honey.
If you like ever
Read.
take the time though, and you have like a couple hours to kill, if you go on Wikipedia and
Yeah.
you read the plot synopses for every book from the Flowers in the Attic series,
Oh my
it
God.
is the funniest fucking thing. Like it's and she fucks him and then she has his child, but really he's her brother. And it's it just does not stop.
It is
Yeah.
deeply uncomfy.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
real uncomfy.
Clan of the Cave Bear.
Okay.
What a bonkers book about horny cave people taught me about my own body.
Wow.
What? I've never even heard of this.
definitely read that
I
book
haven't
in
either.
school.
No, it's not as school. It's
Cave people.
Clan of the Cave Bear. I
guess
remember it.
Cave
It's the
people.
Valley of the Horses. Is one of the thing, and then there's Clan of the Cave Bear, and yeah,
You're just making this sound better and better.
This is how I wound up getting my practical sex education from Jean Owls, The Valley of Horses, a book about a couple of Cro-Magnons in love and screwing madly at the dawn of human history. If you read that in school,
I didn't read that.
I want to
book.
go to your school.
I did not read that
Oh
book.
my gosh.
Kelly, I have a
But
question.
I remember me reading a book called Clan of the Cave Bear.
yeah,
I think you may be
different cave
Yeah.
bear. Apparently.
Valley of Horses is actually the second book. It's a sequel to Clan of the Cave Bear, a weird but compelling book about a Cro-Magnon girl raised amongst Neanderthals.
So this is like
And it's-
evolution meets erotica.
Yes, this is
Whoa.
like
Wow.
I definitely don't remember that.
yes. Dude, I'm like,
I
I read this when I was 12, and there's some fucking insane sex scenes.
I
in
don't
there.
know, man.
Shit.
Kelly, I have to ask, like, have you ever read a Neanderthal caveman,
You know,
erotica book?
I can't say that I have. However, I have been known to read more than one dinosaur romance.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going
a
to need
thing.
you to elaborate.
It's a thing. And you know what? This was actually something that people brought to my attention after I had started the podcast and said, have you ever read Dino Erotica
Dinosaurs having sex?
with humans?
No.
But wait.
I am
But wait.
shook.
Christina's hooked.
Wow.
So it's not like, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, if
this
you look at like a cover, like a book cover for a Dino Erotica,
I need this, yeah.
there's like usually like a pterodactyl in flight, and then the woman beneath it is like scantily clad, and I'm like, wait, okay, I gotta know more. Like I have to find out what this means.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
Keegan
fucking
is
intrigued.
in-
So
like,
what?
entirely
what
uncomfortable
happened?
right now.
So
what
the
happens?
one that I do remember vividly is a
tell us.
pterodactyl
It can't be good.
Yes.
romance. But they're like dinosaurs not in the time of dinosaurs. It's like
Okay.
reimagined in what if dinosaurs
Somehow that's worse.
existed today.
Somehow that's worse.
So wait,
How?
So does a pterodactyl just like show up at your work and it's like, hey girl,
Yeah,
Came to pick you up.
she was a scientist, the like female human character. And I don't know if the pterodactyl's male or female. I don't know if it matters.
no,
How did they have sex? I have so many questions.
It's some beak fucking right
No.
up in there. Yep. It is some beak
I had just
fucking.
oh god,
No.
is it consensual?
Oh yeah, no, she's like really into it.
Oh,
I don't know if
I'm
it's like for the
shook.
sake of science or if it's just like
Absolutely not for the sake of science at all.
I am
I
very
did-
happy about this track that we're going down
I
right
did
now.
read an article about a woman scientist that used to jerk off a dolphin.
Oh, yeah, and
but
then
that
she
was
became attached to it?
legitimately for science. But
Yeah.
then she did fall in love with the dolphin.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
that one
I don't like
makes
that.
me sad.
I don't like that.
But like not in love, like I want to marry it. It was just like
Okay.
there was just something that she had to do. She had to jerk off the dolphin because it was going crazy. And she's like, I have to get these experiments done, but it's a horny dolphin.
Right. So what else can you do?
there was like a documentary. I remember I watched it, or there was like a mini documentary. I think you can find it on YouTube where like she talks about it. But she does have like very weird romantic feelings about this dolphin.
Yeah.
and it's not like
Wow.
she wants to fuck the dolphin,
But-
but it is
Okay.
kind of like maybe she wants to fuck the
Like
dolphin.
if that was a possibility, it might
Where-
be on the table.
I hate
Are
this.
we going?
I don't know. Look,
Okay.
you opened the door with the
So,
fucking
wow.
cave bear shit.
I mean, I want to check
Wow.
out that caveman
I
romance,
am-
though. I have to say,
I'm so not interested in a caveman love story in any way.
I just have
I'm
so many
intrigued now.
questions. Yeah, it's the same way I felt about Dino Erotica. I'm like, I need to know how this goes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
D.C. Andrews was my first, like, I think entrance into anything that was sexual at the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think my first true like erotica, like XXX erotica, was the Anne Rice as Anne. Really,
Oh my god, you keep telling me about it, and I
you
really want to
must.
pick it up.
You simply must.
This was the
Yeah.
Sleeping Beauty one, right? That
series.
you talked about.
There's three. Yes, there's 3 books, and it's wow.
Wowie, wow, wow.
It's wowie wow.
well, even her Vampire Chronicles are like
yeah,
spicy. Yeah,
for sure.
V spicy.
oh, these are beyond.
Yeah, I wonder. You'd probably know, Kelly. Is there like? I feel like there has to be an entire genre of like kink that's centered around like Bigfoot and like Sasquatch.
Oh, sure.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I
for
don't
sure.
know. I don't know how much like and there, it's definitely got to be out there. Like, I feel like that for as many kinks as there are, there's definitely different ways to like satisfy them.
Right.
Romance novels and erotica is like such a small portion of that. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's
Right.
so much more. I actually find that a lot of you get the really kinky shit in like fan fiction or like
hell yeah.
stories that people write because they're not seeing it in mainstream.
Yes,
Right.
we had a story from a listener, and I thought it was so precious because she was talking about how she was so inexperienced and didn't have like any sexual experiences at all, and she's like, I got all of my sex education from Harry Potter fan fiction, and I was like, yes, girl.
I heard that one. I heard you
Yes.
mention that on the podcast.
I was like, I love you.
It's so cute, and actually there's some
Spicy shit out there.
There's some
Yeah.
good stuff out there.
True.
Yeah.
It's true. And that, you know what? I was never a fan fiction reader or writer. I was never really a reader growing up. Like, I think what it was I just hadn't found something I really wanted to read until
Yeah.
I read romance. And I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
done
it.
for.
Yeah.
So how did you get into reading romance novels? Like, what was your first one? Do you remember?
I actually do. I
Yeah?
actually do. It was really funny. I don't even know what spawned the reason for why I picked it up. But my mom is like a huge romance reader. And I think like a lot of people, they picked up, the book at home over the years.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had no interest in it because I just didn't want to read any books, really. And so it was my freshman year of college. I was home for winter vacation. And I don't know why, but I just saw a book in the tub of books in the garage that had already been read.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks cute. And I picked it up. It was called I'm in No Mood for Love by Rachel Gibson.
Oh,
my
Yeah.
gosh.
It starts on like a morning after where the girl's in like her wrecked bridesmaid's dress, like super
shit.
hungover.
I'm
I
all
was
like,
like, this is I can get into this. So I it makes sense to me because I've always been a huge fan of like rom-com movies.
Sure. Uh-huh.
And I grew up doing theater and always flocked towards like the romance, but also the like farcical
the
comedies.
drama. Yeah. And like and that kind of like over the top, like silliness.
So I'm like, this makes perfect sense why I love this. Why haven't I been reading this? And never looked back.
Let that be a testament to being in quarantine. So, because you said it happened to you like over holiday break.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can happen sometimes. Like if you're like bored at home, like I definitely feel like my mom's taste in books did like shape me as a person because she was really into like Stephen King. So it's I would be reading like really dark shit.
Yep.
Like, and if you're stuck at home,
Yep.
listen, if you're stuck at home, if you're at your parents' house while we're all in quarantine, maybe just go pick up a book.
Yeah.
Go pick one up. Find something
Yeah.
new that you love.
I was a reader then though too. I was always a reader. So I always had my own books. So I definitely had a taste for, but
Yeah.
my mom was into the Dean Koontz and the,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Stephen King.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, my parents were like fantasy and sci-fi, a lot of it. But you remind me of my sister. Like I was like voracious at reading, but my sister like didn't like anything she had to do. And I think that because she had to do it
Yeah.
for school,
That's exactly
it didn't
it.
feel enjoyable to her. And so, but now that she's out of school, she reads all the time.
Same.
She's such
Right,
a
yeah.
reader because she can do it. It's like her choice to do it, not
Right.
being forced to sit and
Yeah.
read Moby fucking Dick. You know? Yeah.
Which is so funny because, we talked about this before, but it's like after now post school, like I wanted to go back and read some of those like classics that we were supposed to read that I never really did. That I
You
was
got
like
the Spark
skimmed.
Notes.
Yeah, exactly. That you skimmed through and you're like, just where's the answers? Okay, great. Move on.
Exactly. Yeah. I learned early on that, and I was a great student. I learned early on that I had this one English teacher that if he said anything about a certain book, I would just write that down, put it right back into my essays, regurgitate it back to him. And he's like,
man.
damn, you speaking my language, A+.
You're like, I am speaking your language literally.
Literally.
So, Kelly, you are a single girl
I
in LA.
am a single girl in LA.
Did you bring us a worst date?
So, okay.
Okay.
Wow. She's
We're
making
just getting
space.
right into it. Okay.
Let me tell you. Okay, I'm an avid listener to the podcast, so I mean, I have heard wow, the stories that come through this podcast.
There are some.
Do you have one that has shocked you the most? Have you?
Oh,
some of them
man.
like make me like scream in my car, even though I know
It's coming.
that it's coming.
And
I still
do.
am like,
that's usually when I listen, is when I'm in the car alone, and I definitely have these reactions of, oh no. Like the other one is when I go like for a walk, I'll walk the dog, and I will pass people, and I'm just like, yikes.
You're making a look. Yeah, you're making a face where they're looking at you like, is she okay? Like,
yeah, and I'm just like, oh no, they probably thought I was judging them. I wasn't. Like, oh gosh, but no, I can't think of one specifically. I mean, the first thing that rings in my head is Frito feet.
Oh God.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, there's been so many since Frito feet that
I think the one that made me scream in my car, even though I knew it was coming, and then I made Anthony listen to it again with me, was the one that Christina told about the guy who shit his pants at the movie
man.
theater. I was like, oh, honey. Oh
my God.
I have noticed that to be like a trend across stories is there's a lot of like shitting in places or peeing your pants or vomiting
because it
somewhere.
makes for a memorable date.
Exactly.
Really does.
Sure does. You never forget that.
Yeah.
Never.
Never.
I think mine is still the one that I feel the most for is the guy that came on the chick's knee after she drove like 8 hours to see
That's
him.
Anthony's
like,
favorite story.
Wouldn't feed her.
The Victoria
like that.
sandwich,
The Victoria
where he, like,
sandwich.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
hate it.
you know what? The other thing is I've noticed too is a lot of people are driving a long way out of their way.
Yes.
They don't fucking
to go meet
live out
these
here.
people.
They don't live in LA because people in
No.
LA are like, I'm sorry, you live in Silver Lake, and like I'm
It's
in Culver
never
City.
gonna work.
It won't work out.
Maybe during January when everyone's gone away.
Yes,
But-
we can have a one month romance between Christmas and New Year's, and
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Or
right.
1 week rather.
So I
That's so
mean,
funny.
comparatively speaking, I don't think I have a date that's nearly as traumatic as so many of these have been. For me, I feel like the worst date is definitely like a shame receipt date. Because
Yeah.
I didn't know we were on a date.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
so
brutal.
that's like, and this was mind you my first date that I ever went on. I was a freshman in college, and this guy that I had done theater with had asked me to get food with him after a rehearsal.
Those are so hard because you actually don't know. Like I've been in
Right.
that same position because you're like, whenever you're doing a show with someone,
Yeah.
like it becomes such a close knit kind of like family feeling situation that someone asking you to go eat afterwards, you're like,
Right.
yeah, sure.
Well,
You
this
never
wasn't-
think about
it. Wasn't like different than like any other
Yeah.
person asking me to go eat. It was just like, hey, you want to go grab something to eat afterwards? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So we go, and we're at like kind of one of the main restaurants in our college town, and a few of our friends from rehearsal sort of come in maybe like 20 minutes later and stop by our table, me not realizing we're supposed to be on a date.
You're like, oh,
invites
sit.
them to join us.
Of course. Like I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And it wasn't until the end of the night, and we had like a great night just hanging out with each other. And it wasn't until the end of the night when I was leaving to walk back to my dorm that the guy who had asked me out said, oh, I'll give you a ride. I'm like, you don't have to give me a ride.
For
like,
why, sir?
why? Like,
Yeah.
you'll have to drive around. I live literally like 5 minutes away. He's like, no, let me drop you off. And I'm like, okay, I get if you want. Like, seems like it's out of your way, but fine. And when he dropped me off, we sat in the car, and he didn't like say anything. He didn't say like, I'll see you tomorrow. And so I'm just sitting there,
I'm uncomfortable.
waiting for him to like say goodbye or something. And I'm just like, okay, thanks for the ride. Like, I'm gonna, go. I'll see you tomorrow. And he's like, so, how was that for you?
Oh,
And
no.
Did we just have sex and I missed it?
I missed the whole night apparently.
Yeah,
'cause
like how was that for you? What?
I didn't
Fine.
even realize
We went to
how-
Steak and Shake. I got some shoestring fries, and we came home. I don't understand.
It was such a Steak and Shake like type of location.
course it
too.
was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's the theater place to go. Like afterwards, you're
Right.
like, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Diner.
And so I remember exactly what I said to him because it was such a fucking awkward moment. I was like, did you not like your burger? Oh. Because I was like, did he just really not enjoy dinner? I'm confused.
Should have got that Frisco melt. Like what?
Yeah. And so he's like, no, I mean about our date. And
Ooh, he said the D word and you were like,
He did.
record scratch.
But also like,
complete record
did
scratch.
he not pick up the energy that you were putting down? Because like I would have been like, oh, she doesn't know. Oh, she doesn't know.
Right.
Just say goodbye and let her go.
And he was older too. Like I think I was a freshman and he was a junior. So I mean, he definitely, I'm assuming, been around the block a few more times.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so I of course responded with like, "What date?" And
You're like, I don't remember going on a date.
Yeah,
exactly.
when did that happen? I must have blacked out.
yeah, and he, awkwardly explained that he had thought we were on a date. I told him I had no idea we were on a date.
Honey, you have to be more explicit. And I feel for guys because I think sometimes I understand how difficult it is to ask people out. It's
Sure.
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. And so I think sometimes they take advantage of like a close relationship where they can be like, hey, you want to just go get some dinner? Because it's easier. It feels more comfortable than being
Right.
like, will you go on a date with me?
Right.
But then the problem with that is that they leave it open to like
Yeah.
misunderstanding.
And
you know?
I'm like split on this too, because I feel like this has kind of been a trend throughout my dating experience as an adult. Is either somebody says specifically, or you meet on a dating app, right? You assume it's going to be we're
date.
meeting up
Yeah.
on a date.
Yeah.
But if somebody says like, we're going to go out on a date, or I'm going to pick you up, I feel like this awkward thing just all of a sudden kicks in, like, okay, well, we've labeled this for what it is. It's got to go a certain way. And then on the other side, I feel more comfortable when I'm dating, when I don't know I'm dating. Like, it's
Right.
more of like oh yeah, we're just hanging out, getting to know each other. Like, if it goes somewhere. But
do you think that only applies when it's someone you like? Because when it's someone you don't like,
oh yeah,
then
for
like
sure.
you don't know you're on a date. Yeah.
And then if you do reach that point, you have to at some point reach a point where you have to put some sort of label on it, because
Yeah.
otherwise, I think a thing in LA that I've definitely experienced more than once is the man that I go out with who says after like 2 or 3 dates that are great,
Right.
oh, well, I'm not looking for a relationship. Yeah. I'm looking to just see someone regularly, sleep with them, and, enjoy our time together,
Exactly.
but not a relationship.
Yep.
What the
Yep.
fuck is that?
100.
I think you just
100.
described a relationship.
But what
That
you
is
describe-
every single person I
Yeah.
dated.
Which is why I'm no longer dating in Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
Written it off entirely.
It's been about a year since I went out with somebody, and
You got to do what Christina did and find that person who just moved here.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Ooh,
have like
yeah,
a
scoop 'em
solid
up,
friend
right?
group yet. New to town.
Yeah.
He still doesn't, you know what I
you're
mean? Like he's
fresh.
not like, he's,
Yeah.
you got that good.
Fresh meat.
You got to get him while they're
It's
fresh.
true. It's either that or you date like super young now. You go for like the young
Yeah.
Gen Zers who are like,
Yeah.
no rules.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I can mold you into exactly what I need.
I have
You're
a best friend who did
you're
that.
pliable.
He worked out great.
Well, there you
nice.
go. There
Yeah.
you go. See, Jessica really did fuck up on
on Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
I can't. I'm so excited.
Did you watch it?
For your episode.
We just
about
recorded
it.
today.
I can't. Oh
Do you
my
have so
gosh.
much to say about it?
So much to
I wish
say.
we had
Like,
included you on our
Oh, I
episode.
you
do
know what? It's
too.
best you don't. It's best you don't, because it would never end.
Wait.
And
We didn't talk about the reunion.
ooh,
We just briefly touched base on it.
There was a lot of awkwardness that happened
That was
in that reunion.
so much awkward. I was doing it as I was having coffee, and I just kept leaving the room,
Yeah.
'Cause you're
to
like, I
just
can't.
do stuff because
I
I was
can't.
I can't watch this.
Carlton
it just felt
forcing
so
her to
bad.
put that ring on her finger was
that
the most
was
uncomfortable
the
thing.
worst moment.
Like she's
of
like,
that
"What?
whole
You want me to
thing.
put it on? Okay,
On that
oh,
finger.
it's on there. Oh, right. Great.
Okay.
It's
She's
on.
like, I don't think it fits. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was, I don't even know what to do with it. You know what killed me too is the whole Jessica. I mean,
Well,
Jessica.
where do we begin?
Right. But her giving out all these apologies and never actually addressing Mark.
Right.
I thought that was super fucked.
So weird.
Yeah.
It was so weird. And her apologies were also weird.
Yeah.
Where she was like, so I'm going to apologize to whoever I need to apologize to, but I'm not going to apologize to myself because I know what I did was right. And I'm like, well, then
Yeah.
that's not an apology.
No.
I don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Amber was right, and then they like Vanessa Lachey like kept trying to get her to like accept her apology. Amber's like, yeah, I'm just not there. Like,
Right.
Not there yet.
Yeah.
Not gonna
I
do it.
appreciate that about Amber, where she's just, because I know me, like my personality type
Yeah.
would be so like, it's fine. Yeah, okay.
Have you seen anybody more uncomfortable than Barnett in that whole scenario? He wanted to crawl under a fucking rug and die.
I
Yeah, he's
know.
like, don't look at her. Don't look at her. Don't look at Jessica. Don't turn around. Don't look at her.
also, why did Amber go blonde?
It wasn't as great of a look. I
I don't
didn't
love it.
hate her blonde, but I was like, are you trying to look like Jessica? 'Cause that's what I
thought too. I was like, this is a little weird.
That was my first thought, and I
I
was
did
like,
not think that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my first thought. She's like, don't worry, Barnett, you can have both of us at the
Best
same
of both
time.
worlds.
She's hurting him.
Barnett reminds me of
He's in danger.
that character that like Pete Davidson does on SNL too. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Where he's just like, I love you. Okay.
What the
No, I
fuck
love
does
you.
he engineer? I need to know.
I don't know. There was this whole article I read that was all about their jobs and like, well, what does that mean? Like, so
Yes.
she's the regional sales manager of what exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew some of them. Somebody had done like a deep dive LinkedIn
Okay.
hunt on them.
I ain't mad
I
at
am
that.
curious because I've
Yeah.
worked with many regional sales managers before, and I mean, and she could look like anybody I've ever worked for.
Yeah,
so I
'cause she's
am
that
curious.
basic.
Well, wow, Kelly, I'm right here.
Burn.
Wow.
We know Jessica
this
has
room.
like that basic look.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
100,
yeah.
100, 100.
But she, by the way, was the one they didn't find any results on. They're like, we don't know what she's regionally selling things for.
I mean,
Where'd she
as
get
a
that
region-
house?
As an RSM, like you're gonna manage a group, a territory of people, I imagine. So I'm just curious. I'm like, in what field? 'Cause
Right.
she could be in medical sales or
Yeah.
farm sales.
I see her
So
as a
many
pharma.
girl. Same.
Yep. 100. Well, everybody who doesn't listen to Love is Blind is just like,
It's just like fast forward,
Yeah.
fast forward,
They're like,
fast forward.
when are they?
Sorry.
That's
Dude,
okay.
it was. I was telling these guys like I'm not like a reality show fan, but it feels like we've had reality shows since. Okay, I remember the first season of Survivor.
Yeah. Hell
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
like
That
Yeah.
was one of the early
The
ones
thing.
for sure.
Richard,
Oh,
naked
good.
ass Richard, just walking around
Yep.
being fucking
Yeah.
weird and creepy.
and everybody had Survivor parties. It was
Yeah.
very like a community. Like,
means
oh my
something
god,
different
water
now.
cooled Survivor.
Oh,
But sorry, I'm so sorry.
Too soon.
Keegan.
Sorry.
Come
Too
on,
But
low
now,
hanging fruit.
now it's like it's been the same for a long time. It's
Yeah.
The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Dancing with the Star. Like it's just Real Housewives, and it's just
Right.
like
We needed
it's
some spice.
Nothing new.
We needed
you
some
know?
spice. We needed a young hot lady to tell a man he doesn't know how to fuck on national television. That's what we needed.
That definitely took the turn that I was not expecting. I have to say, while watching that, I was like, "Oh, didn't see it going this."
And then
way.
they
Not
like
at all.
immediately fucked afterwards, and I'm like, "Why are you? What happened?"
She's
like,
like, I love disappointment.
So now that you've finished Love Is Blind, I have to ask: have you watched The Circle yet?
I
yet.
started it, but I've not finished it. I started it.
because that one for me was like so much better.
I'm into the
What?
I'm into the
Yeah.
concept of the circle because to me it's a strategy game, which I
Yeah.
think is fascinating,
right.
and I'm
We
down
gotta
to
watch
watch
it.
it.
Okay.
So, well, maybe that should be the next thing we watch to do.
Wait.
Oh,
Patreon.
good.
No, Cassie.
Okay, have you seen Back with My Ex or Back with Your Ex or
Okay,
whatever?
I've seen it on my Netflix queue being recommended to me. I don't know if I can actually
Kelly,
go for it.
Kelly, watch it. Text me. Oh, I was just telling the girls earlier.
Me and
Liz,
Christina
she
are
was,
like-
from our from our Facebook group. She's like live watching it and responding to me like, "Oh my god, blah blah blah." Like, "Oh my
I
god,
love
oh
it.
my god."
No.
It's good. And the thing of it is too is that it has the couple. It has
Yeah.
like your Cam and Lauren, and it also has your Jessica and Mark situation. I mean, like
Okay,
you're
I'm sorry.
awkward.
I need you to explain to me what is this? Is it
Okay.
literally like people who have broken up decide to
Yes.
get back together and they film their journey?
That's right. So there's 4
Okay.
couples,
I
and
feel like
and
that's triggering for me.
okay.
Ooh, I just got chills.
So it's 4 couples, and the one couple, they broke up 28 years ago. They were like young loves, dated in the 80s.
Okay, I'm interested in
He's
that.
from Australia. She's from North Carolina.
I'm
or
interested
something,
in that.
okay?
That seems like cute.
And so they hadn't seen each other. They've lived their lives. They both had been got married after they'd broken up, and married, had kids, are now divorced.
And they're what, like 50s?
On the other side of it. Yeah. Like she's in her late 40s and he's
I
like in
love
his early
that.
50s.
Okay, that I think is cute. I would watch
Okay,
that.
so that's one couple.
Okay.
Another couple had been broken up they dated in high school. You find out pretty early on that she cheated on him. I'm not giving a lot away, but
Okay.
but she they broke up. It was a little like
she
but they were
cheated
young
in high school,
They were
right?
young,
Okay.
like right after high school. So like their relationship like ended fairly soon after high
Okay.
school. Their early 20s.
People are dumb in their early 20s. We discussed that.
And they'd been broken up, I think, like 4 years, and so she wanted to get back together. So it's one person who wants to get back together with the other
Oh,
one.
no,
might
no.
still-
4 years
but wait,
is not
That's
long
too
enough.
fresh.
But wait,
Yep.
okay, so it's her trying to get back together with him. It's the guy, the older man, is trying to get back together with the girl. So then there's another couple that they dated, and they dated on and off for quite some time, and he ended up going like. He's like, I want to go see Europe, and kind of left her a little bit. Like, kind of was
Okay.
like, I'm going to go to Europe and do my thing for a while. And so there was some like tumultuousness in the relationship. But he's always been like, I really fucked it up, and I missed out on what could have been. And that was like, I think 3 years apart or something.
That seems like they never really even got their like full
Maybe.
start. So like I
Maybe.
could
They didn't
be
get their
okay
story,
with
right?
that. Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about within the episode. So I'm just telling you
man.
like the stories of who's who.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
the other couple, they dated on and off for 6 years. Like literally, like for every year they dated, they
I'm
broke
sorry.
up.
You dated on and off for 6 years. Call it a day. We're done now.
that's a long
That's
time.
enough. Cassie. I'm sorry. I'm like not on board. No. I don't care how cute they seem. Because the thing is, they probably seem cute every time they're together, and then they break up. You can't date someone on and off for 6 years and it be healthy.
I agree.
There's
Yeah,
no
I
way.
know. It's look at Carrie
so
and
in the
Big.
end, so what the
Look
Who?
at Carrie and Big.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
right,
it's
right.
toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the thing is so the first thing is the meeting, right? So they get back to like they meet, they get back
Right.
together, and they like meet up, and they are in a hotel together, 2 separate hotels for 2 days. So 2 separate hotel rooms, right?
Okay.
So they're like in a like off-site situation. Go on a couple dates together,
Yeah.
see if you want to go forward, right?
Okay.
They stay the night in the separate hotel rooms. They all do that. Then from that point, they decide if they're moving forward. Then they go to the person who asked to do the experiment is hosting that other person at their house. So they can sleep in the same bed. They can do whatever they want.
no.
And then the next week, they switch homes. So they go to the other person's home. And I mean, these are people they've had relationships with. So it's not strangers.
But here's
These
how
are
I
strangers.
feel about this. There are 7 billion people in the world. Why do you need to go back? Like the person who is like, they haven't seen each other for 28 years. I'm like, that's different. Because like
That
you've
is
gone
different.
out, you've
That is
experienced
different.
life, and like that person is still, if you're still thinking about that person, then sure, then go back and shoot your shot, do it. But like everyone else, I'm just like, what you're doing is you're romanticizing a past relationship because that's what we do as like human beings. We remember a lot of the good shit.
So you're either like going to go through this situation, then they go on a trip together.
why?
They go to
Oh,
on
no.
a fancy trip. So
No,
it's a 4 weeks. So it's a month together of them trying to decide
oh,
what.
absolutely not. A month? No.
That's
And then at
I
the
mean-
end, they get to say whether they're like, you know what, this is just, we tried it. We did shoot our shot. We have closure now, and we can come to a place where we're like, this wasn't ever meant to be. Or we
We-
can be like, you know what?
We as human
give it another
beings,
try.
Let's do it.
we as human beings need to find a better way to get closure.
Yeah.
Then let's do the same thing we just did.
But I will say closure is kind of like, I mean, as somebody that how many times
Yeah.
did you get ghosted in a couple years of dating?
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
like,
For sure. Well, and I've totally been that ghost
Yeah,
too. Like
me
and
too.
I speaking of ghosted, there's a fantastic show on MTV called Ghosted. Couldn't love it more.
Oh, with Rachel from The Bachelorette.
Oh, I love it. But I mean, I've never been one of those people that's done it if it was more than like, we texted a couple times, or it's like we
Right,
went out like
right.
once or twice. But dude, if you want a show to watch, you check out
Okay.
Ghosted. These are people who were in relationships for months, years, and then deuces, gone. just gone one day.
And they track
That's that
them
story.
down like
That's
Neve
that
and Max
story.
style. They track
Yeah.
them down like catfish. Like
fantastic. And then they
find them and they
sounds like-
confront them.
It sounds like the Back with My Ex show, though. It's
Yes.
like somebody is
That's
like wanting
the kind
to
of
find
closure
the other one.
I can get behind.
Yeah,
there we go.
I agree
Great.
with you. Like that's how I feel. I'm like,
I love it.
That to me is different. I understand needing closure, but this to me this doesn't sound like closure. To me this sounds like
They're all Australian too. Did I say that?
Oh well, that makes me more interested than I was previously.
They all have Australian accents.
But this
Nice.
this
Except for the one
to
girl.
me this feels like reopening
Yep.
wounds or going down a path that
there's a couple that are like that.
I'm just like I don't.
They're trying to
necessarily
jump right back into a relationship.
and
it seems like.
people grow and they change and like
Yeah.
you have romanticized this version of this person
Mm-hmm.
from having been broken up with them for so long, then you get back together with them and you realize like you're different, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the stuff that you'd romanticized about them didn't ever exist in the
Yeah.
first place. And
the
I'm just
one
like,
the one girl was like that from the very beginning. She's like, you don't know who I am now.
Right.
You know who you thought I was then, who I was
Who you
then,
wanted me to be.
who you wanted me to be at the
Right.
time, but you don't even know who I am right now, and you might not love me as I am right now.
Well, and then you have
I'm
the-
stronger.
You have
basically.
the opposite
Nice.
too with the one who cheated. I
Yeah.
can see where you've had years to let that fester
Sure.
of and build up how much of a demon that person is that
Sure.
cheated on you. Where
Yeah.
it almost be you would have the bigger struggle of falling back in love with them.
The amount of gaslighting that happens
Yikes.
with one of the couples, though, I'm just like, and it seems so innocent, and it looks. If you just look at the top line, you're like, but if you really see what's happening, this guy is gaslighting the fuck out of her.
I don't like
It's
it.
horrible.
speaking of gaslighting, what are your deal breakers, Kelly?
oh my gosh.
What are things that people do or that you've experienced on dates or that you could experience on a date
Yeah.
that for you would be an absolute non-starter, no-go, this date is over?
Yeah, no, it's I will say I do feel like I have very high standards when it comes to committing to someone because I am always busy. I am always busy. I
Don't have time for it.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. And it's I don't think about it so much with like age. Like I know a lot of people measure things with like I'm at this age, I don't have time anymore to waste. For me, it's just more of the fact that I have so many wonderful things in my life that I love.
You don't
that
wanna put at
I-
risk.
and I don't want to really sacrifice anything or compromise anything. And maybe that's selfish, but I really haven't met someone where I'm like, you know, I'm willing to give this up to be with you, or I'm willing to factor you in and factor something else out. And I
Right.
think whoever does end up with me is just going to have to
Fall
accept
into
that
that.
they're part of the puzzle. They're not the entire picture for me. And I'm okay with that. And I know that some people will be okay with that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't. So that's definitely something that it's my baggage, but it's something that anybody I'm with needs to understand as well.
Well,
That
I don't think that that's baggage. I think that is. I think it's
think it's
very
healthy.
good and healthy that you
Oh,
have
thank you.
you have a clear understanding of who you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like the reason why other people don't accept that as much is because, and it's ironic that like, you know, romantic comedies and things like that have sold us this idea of like all encompassing love.
Sure.
And like that
Sure.
this person is supposed to be the center of your like
Yeah.
universe. And if it's not that, then it's not right. Or
And I
whatever.
don't want to be the center of someone's universe either. Like I can't.
Oh,
I can't
would
have that responsibility.
suffocate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally is like a huge turnoff for me.
Exactly.
Somebody that doesn't have hobbies
Right.
or a
Their
place
own
to
thing.
go.
That's
And-
up on the list of deal breakers for sure.
Yeah.
Is I want you to, you know, hang out with me and my friends, but also I want to hang out with you and your friends. Like we don't have to do every single thing together. We don't have to love
Yes.
all the same things. I want someone who wants to have a life,
Right.
but also have a life with me, you know, that they're not mutually exclusive.
Yep.
That we
Well,
can
it's balanced.
yeah, exactly. And I just my little petty one is I cannot stand mess. And that's like physically and emotionally, like if I show up to a date and somebody's wearing a t-shirt with a hole in it, oh boy.
Well, because we talked
Yeah.
about this a lot in the beginning of our podcast, especially. It's about like effort. Right. It's just like if you, it's not about, I'm not shallow. It's not any of that stuff. It's just like if you know you're meeting someone new, you want to put your best foot forward. And if you don't think I'm important enough to put on a clean shirt, then I don't trust this.
And I'm not expecting a ball gown. Like I don't need the fanciest, feel like, because I also want people to be themselves. Like I don't like the way that when we do date, we tend to put out like a more false image of ourselves at the start and kind of like
wean them off of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I try to really be myself, but I mean at the same time I'm gonna put makeup on. I'm gonna spruce up a little
wear something
bit.
you feel good and comfortable and like beautiful in as well. Yeah.
So like my last LA date, he was talking about how he was like living in like this basement apartment, which I'm like, okay, I lived in Chicago. I understand basement apartments. It's a thing.
They're a normal thing in the Midwest.
Not a deal breaker,
It's his parents' house, isn't it?
It wasn't his parents' house. It was though like a friend's house that they were like subletting him like the basement apartment. I'm like, well, that's fine.
Still not terrible. Yeah.
Especially in LA, you take what you can get.
That's right. Fucking men, dude. Yeah. It's rough out there.
But he was talking about like how, oh yeah, my apartment's a mess right now, and like there's clothes everywhere, and I really should clean up a little bit. Like my therapist tells me I should do this.
Why are you coming out the gate with this information, sir?
That's exact. I was just like, on the one hand, I appreciate the way that you're so open about the fact that you go to therapy.
Yeah, kudos.
That.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, however, but you're coming out the gate with like, my life's a fucking mess.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was him basically telling me that he knew his life was a mess, both professionally, personally, at home. And the fact that he seemed okay with it.
And you're not ready for a relationship. You can't fit me in if you can't organize your life.
I'm not looking to play mommy. I'm not looking to clean up after you. So that's like my biggest deal breaker is that I want someone who's their own person and they also like want to be better. Like,
right. Yeah. I had a guy who was pretty like okay with like doing so much blow like every night of the week, and he's just like, I doesn't interfere with my job or anything like that. And he's like, I'm just sad all the time, so this helps. Literally, quote unquote.
Wow.
And I was like,
and like, do you not hear the words coming out of your mouth? Do you not recognize this as a problem?
tell you, my legs literally I was like, cross.
Could not shut down that vagina quicker.
Oh, wow. I know. We're turning off
doors
lights.
are closed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Closed for business. Thank you.
All of a sudden,
You turn that sign around.
Yeah, you're like, my vagina's quarantined. Actually, we're just
down
gonna
the shades so no one's peeking in the window.
Exactly. No,
we're not home.
No.
that's the next new good book. Love in the Time of Quarantine.
Yeah. You're like,
Coronavirus.
actually, we're social distancing my vagina from your dick.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
So it's happening right now. Absolutely not.
Heard that it's going to be like another baby boom.
Yeah. Historically, that's been the case.
Yeah.
Anytime people have to be locked inside
Condoms,
together.
people, condoms. Don't bring your
Right.
kids into this.
Apparently, amen. I'm like, we don't need
more of us.
In fact, this is never mind. We're not going to.
Okay. Okay. So, well, on that note, let's go off topic. let's switch gears.
Let's make a hard turn.
Let's make a hard turn to anywhere but there. So let's talk about Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
love it.
you sent us. So when we sent you an email with the details for today, and we were like, if you have any Fuck, Marry, Kill suggestions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll put something out there. And I actually think this is kind of like a brilliant idea. You were talking about how we should do erotic fiction tropes or romance tropes, like rom-com tropes, like friends to lovers, and like what are some other ones?
I mean, there's a million, because people always assume that when it comes to romance, there's like paranormal, contemporary, historical. Those aren't even really tropes. They're just
those
sort
are
of
just genres.
Of a genre. So I mean, I always think of sort of like the type of romance. So like friends to lovers.
One of my favorites.
A forbidden romance.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Will they, won't they?
Oh, I love
or like
Will
they
They, Won't They.
chance.
They hate.
Second chance.
Yeah. Enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Enemies to lovers, I can get.
Some people like a work romance,
Boss.
like a boss,
Yeah.
relationship, age gap. So, and that could go either way. You could go like, she calls him daddy, or maybe not. That's
funny?
not
I like
my fave.
There was a book going around that was in contemporary that was really popular for a while where she was older. I couldn't get into it just because of my own personal weirdness. I know that's so
Sure.
stupid and that's so dumb to like back
Well,
away from a book. Like
I
you know.
just think it's interesting how like literature, art, or media can reveal things about ourselves, right?
Totally.
Like because that's it's definitely something that's just like a deep internalized
Right.
thing that you have.
100%.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's interesting that you know that about yourself now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of tropes and kinks in romance and erotica that I'm like, ooh, damn, that's hot. And then I think about experiencing that in real life, and I'm like,
No, thank you.
No.
maybe not.
Yeah, but that's the thing about a fantasy, though. It's
Yeah,
like it's not
exactly.
necessarily something that it's something that you can be interested in, or like maybe gets you going. But the thought of doing it yourself, you would never.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Yeah.
yeah, it's fantasy. Well, what 3 do we want to do then? What? Yeah, what are our
Well,
favorite
do
kind
you-
of?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you 3 want to pick your favorite?
I love the enemy. The
Enemies to lovers.
Yeah, enemies to lovers or the boss. I think the boss things are. I know Keegan's dying.
I was keeping it in. Listen,
no, you were not. They heard your eye roll over the microphone.
it wasn't an eye roll. It was that. Okay,
There was a
I
gentle
hear you.
head nod as well.
Yes.
Your eyes rolled so hard that you have a headache now. I believe.
I'm a fan. I'm a forbidden
Yes.
romance.
See, I dig on that too. Oh gosh, that makes it kind of hard, huh?
I'll do enemies to lovers.
Okay,
I like
so
that one.
enemies
So-
to lovers,
Forbidden.
forbidden romance, and that could go like any way, right? I mean, there's so many things that are forbidden. Like a big one that I know I'm guilty of reading is there'll be like the stepbrother stepsister relationship.
Not allowed to do that.
We just did a story from the Nun of Mansa, which it inspired this whole like nunsploitation thing for Italy, like in the 70s, where it was like nuns getting it on with priests and stuff like that. And
Yes.
that's
I dig
hot
like
priest.
I dig a feuding family too. Like
Yeah.
I dig a family,
Like a Romeo Juliet type situation.
Yes,
Yeah.
but more mature than
Yeah,
them.
there's
but
a lot of good forbidden.
like hot priest and Fleabag.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh, I mean, the minute you
Yes.
said priest, I was like, that's it,
Oh.
right
Yeah.
there, hot priest.
oh god, I mean, I don't know. I have to say, I think that those 2 that have already been mentioned would be my most favorite.
Okay.
So just to give us some spice, we'll go ahead and we'll do bosses and subordinates.
She's like, I need to kill something.
I gotta kill something.
So we've got boss.
This is
employee,
hard. I really like
forbidden
all of
romance,
these.
Okay.
and
Well,
enemies
technically-
to
Well, I
lovers.
guess a boss employee is a forbidden romance, but that's
It's its own thing, too.
specifically.
There's
yes.
enough books to make that its own
It
subgenre.
really
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
true.
I like all of these.
I know.
Yeah.
Didn't we
tough
do
one.
one for whenever Your Angry Neighborhood Feminist came on the show? Wasn't it a boss employee?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. And it's so rare to see it where you actually have the female boss and
that's
a male
right.
employee.
Yeah.
But I know
I
that
remember
one of the
listening to that one.
series that Cassie, you read a Claire Kingsley
Yes.
book, and there's a whole series that's called The Blue Water Billionaires.
Yes.
And they're all
I listened to
female
those with-
billionaires.
Oh, okay. They're
Right.
female because I was like, if there's anything that I could like less than a boss employee relationship, it would be a billionaire boss
I know.
employee.
And that's
I'm like,
a whole genre too. Oof. But-
Again, your eye rolls. You're gonna get a headache, girl.
they're gonna be stuck that
But yeah,
way.
they're female billionaires.
Okay,
if
that
you
changes
do
things
want,
for
like,
me.
A female
All right.
boss series, I recommend.
All
them
right,
for
that's
sure.
a little different. That's a little
Okay.
different.
Oh yeah,
Right.
because boss employee. We're all assuming that that's like
But because that's
Male.
most
That's
of
your
the
own internal misogyny there.
well, but it's most of the books that are written
That's
are that
true.
way.
It is
Like
true.
that's
Yeah.
mostly that.
but it could
you know?
be female boss.
because when you hear
Hot male
teacher
employee.
student too, usually it's
Oh, I
a
hate
male
that.
teacher and a,
Yeah.
a female
I hate both of those. Actually,
God.
yeah,
don't like
exactly.
it. I don't like it either. Okay.
Okay, you know what?
Okay, Kelly, tell us what you would do.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, we're not here to yuck yums.
or you don't have to go. You don't have to go first if you don't want to.
Oh no, you put me on the spot. I'm
So sorry.
I'm gonna take it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, we've got enemies to lovers, boss employee, forbidden romance. Okay. I'm going to fuck forbidden romance because hello.
Oh my god,
Yes.
It's
hot
naughty
priest.
AF.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's the one where I'm like, in real life, maybe not so much. But
Right.
if this is just like a little side
Is it a
piece-
fling? Is it a short-lived fling? Yes.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
exactly. And I think I'm going to marry enemies to lovers because I do. And you know what's so funny is sometimes those rub me the wrong way,
Yeah.
especially if like in the beginning they're enemies because usually the male character is like such a dick.
Yeah, such
Right.
a
Like
fuck up.
I don't want want you to love him. He sucks.
He sucks. Yeah.
That's the perfect point.
Yes. But other times it's just, like the typical rom-com thing. They just don't see eye to eye. And I'm like,
Oh, I fucking love that. I love that trope. In a rom-com, opposites attract. I love it. I'm just like,
you don't
she's
have to
quirky and
see
fun, and
eye to
he's
eye.
rigid, and I'm like, I like it.
And we rub off on each other.
Yeah, exactly. We're both here to learn something.
So good. Learning is sexy. Which means I guess that I'm going to kill boss employee. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's not my typical thing. I will say I love when a woman's on top, but
Same girl,
it's not
same.
what you get a lot.
I think that I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I think that Forbidden Lover is a very wide open genre. And there's some forbidden things that I'm like, again, not here to yuck yums. It's just that there's some forbidden loves that I'm like, I'm going to kill that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not for you.
I'm going to
understand.
fuck the boss
That's fair.
relationship.
You like a Christian Grey. Yeah,
I do.
You do.
Oh,
what
do
about
I?
what
And
about
how?
Secretary with James Spader?
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I saw that when I was way too young and loved it.
I have, that was a secret watch that came on like
Yes.
Yep.
late night TNT or something.
Yeah.
And so it was even edited because it was for TV, and I was still like riveted. I
Yes.
was like
I still
12.
love it.
Spicy.
You're like, woo.
Spicy.
Woo, and James Spader was
hot.
in it.
Yes. Yes. They both were. Oh my
Wow.
God.
I like the I'm in charge guy or girl, whomever.
Yeah.
And on top, and I hold all the cards and all the aces.
And you know you're
just
gonna
like,
fuck on a desk.
Yeah,
at
you
some
are.
point. Like,
Yeah,
it
you
has
are.
to happen.
And in
Like, my
reality,
back
do I want to
would hurt.
marry that? Because desks are hard.
You're
and they
gonna
hurt.
have back problems.
That's
I
right.
really feel like you're gonna
That's
end
not
up
a
with one
long-term.
of those like supports. I just think
It's not a long term.
it's impractical, Cassie. And
It is. It's
Yeah.
absolutely impractical. And so I think that I'm going to also marry, though, enemies to lovers. I don't know why. I love the will they won't they trope.
I like it.
just will. Oh, will she concede to his naughty behavior? Will he? Oh, I don't know.
She's
Yeah.
gonna change him for the better. 'Cause
Exactly.
There's nothing a woman likes more than changing. a man.
Absolutely.
I was just gonna say.
there
I
is
was
where
just gonna say.
there's where the kink is.
Yes.
The kink is fix you kink, and that
Yes.
is
Funny.
like I can fix you.
Funny story. Don't like that at all. IRL.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
want to
Oh
fix
no
her
no
upper.
no.
But love it. Love it in a book.
yes, 100.
Oh, I think it definitely, I feel that so hard because it was such a seated belief in me in my like teens and 20s that was just like fixer upper.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, like this person, I don't really like them. I don't like their behavior,
That's a
but I can
20s
change them.
20-something thing too. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah, you're like, I like the way you look, and I like the fact that you can play the guitar at me. So
Right.
I can fix everything else.
we're all fine. Like I'm guilty of this too, is when I'm dating somebody of kind of forgiving things of being like, oh well, that only happened once. Like
Yeah.
I can find all the better things
Yeah.
that make up for
Right.
that
He
Yeah.
just
shitty
he just
thing.
hasn't been with me before.
Yeah.
So he hasn't.
He has never had experience.
He just
true
doesn't
love.
know.
Right. He
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Once he experiences true love, why would you ever fuck up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there's something about that is like, you know, I just have to marry it, and I think it's because it's
Oh no.
I think it's because it feels the most comfortable for me. Like it feels the most like when I peel away all the different like artichoke layers of myself, I'm like, that is the heart of
Yeah.
it, where I'm just like, you know, it's misguided, of course, but
Right.
it's still me. And I'm just
Right.
like, and I love that. Now, what spices me up, what I'm gonna fuck,
I know it.
boss employee.
Okay. Okay. I
Boss
actually
employee.
didn't think so.
Boss
Wow.
employee. I'm such a boss in real life. I'm very like organized. I'm now like very, very opinionated.
Are you like one of those CEOs who has to go to a dominatrix after work
Yeah.
because they're like, I just need to feel out of control for 30 minutes?
Oh, those are my favorite.
I've been a boss like as long as I can remember. Like I had to have a lot of responsibility growing up, and I've never really felt like I can just like let myself down or like being like trusting someone enough to,
Yeah.
Oh no,
be the-
I'm on board with the
Yeah.
submissive kink.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm on board 100% with
I'm
that.
like, woohoo.
Yes.
And then that whole like, and here's the thing. I would not like that in real life
no.
at all. Like,
Don't ever
that
tell me
whole,
what
like,
to do,
workplace
IRL.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, no, but boss employee, I'm like, yeah.
The
that's
dynamic
spicy.
that it gives off.
Yeah.
So you're going to kill the forbidden love.
I am, and that's so hard because I mean, I will say I probably watched that specific episode of Fleabag like 72 times at least,
Right.
and had some very spicy dreams about hot priests. But
I
Let
think
me
we all
say
have.
that the forbidden love, like the forbidden love is going to put you on that Getting Back with My Ex show. Like that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's because like that is the kind of love that like, yes, no, you don't marry it. You fuck it. You don't marry it. But it is the kind of situation that will live in your brain for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And you will always seek that high. It is like
it's like that fucking thing that was on our Facebook. It was like the guy that fucks you the best is the one that
he's
lived in a
his,
van.
like soggy
remember that.
basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, moldy couch fucking. Yeah, no.
but it's still the best.
But
fuck
you're
of
like,
your
but it was
life.
the best,
And
and,
so
it
you'll
will
still be thinking about it
forever.
even though you know you shouldn't.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I am also going to fuck the forbidden because you have to, and it may ruin you for the rest of your life. It is a life ruining sexual encounter, and that's okay. That's okay. It's why you can't marry it. It's not sustainable. Okay, we all read Romeo and Juliet. We know what happens.
Yes.
Can't be done. But I'm gonna kill the boss employee.
Yeah.
I like the I like a submissive situation. I like it a lot, but there is just something. Maybe it's just I'm just a child of the Me Too movement, and I'm like I cannot get on board.
I think it's because a lot of the books that I've read in that genre, most
feel
of them
very
are
misogynistic,
They
yeah.
do, but it also flips it a lot of times at the
That's
end
right.
of the book. It turns out like she ends up being the one that's like
Yeah.
in power or has power or
Which
brings that character
I
to
would
their
appreciate
knees.
that. It's
Yes.
it's why I think if I were reading a romance novel where the genders were swapped in an untraditional like gender situation, gender roles, I think I could probably enjoy it more. I think for me, I just have this stubborn thought in my head that's just like makes me feel uncomfortable by
Yeah.
it. And that's just my thing. And again, I'm not yucking anybody's yum at all because
Yeah.
I understand the appeal 100%. I get the appeal of it for sure. But yeah, I think I will marry enemies to friends. And here's why. I feel like this involves a certain amount of like, you guys have probably known each other for a bit. I feel like somebody who doesn't like you at first probably knows you in a more real way than somebody who is enamored with you right away. Like because they've seen the things that they don't like about you.
That's true.
The passion for hate and the passion for love are a very thin
They're
line.
close, but I kind of want the person I'm going to be with to know the shit that they don't like
That's right.
about me, and they've probably already called me out on it. They probably already put me in my place about it. And I think that that's going to make for a better, stronger, healthier marriage.
You're
There you
just
go.
enemies because you're not ready to listen and accept it.
Yes,
But then
and
when
once
you
you
are,
yeah, and now it's like you know the shit that's gonna piss me off, like, and I know the shit that's gonna piss you off.
Yeah.
we understand each other now. I
Right.
like it.
I'm down. So we're all marrying and falling in love with our enemies. Apparently, It's
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on.
So do you have any books that you've read recently that you can recommend picking up,
boy.
to let people have something to do during this quarantine
Yeah,
time?
I know, right?
Secondary question to that: do you ever read books that you don't review, or do you ever have time for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. I mean, I genuinely, if I wanted to, could read a book every day.
Oh
Like,
man,
that's
Good for
amazing.
you.
Most
I am
days.
so impressed by you because
love it.
when I come home from work, I'm like, how many YouTube videos can I watch? Like,
You know what? And everybody has, and you know what? That's my roommate. She's a sucker for going online and watching like old Vine compilations.
I love it. It's amazing. Everyone has their
Everyone
thing that
has
makes
their
them
thing.
really
Does,
stressed.
yeah. And hers is like very short form content. Mine is like I want to dive in and be immersed.
That's amazing.
something. So
we
that's
have
me.
a friend friend who goes on YouTube and watches house cleaning videos when she wants to decompress.
Amazing.
Wow. I
Like-
mean, that sounds therapeutic.
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
I think that everyone has. For me, watching people put on their makeup makes me feel like
Okay.
I like watching people put on their makeup on YouTube. Like it makes me feel like comforted and
Yeah.
like de-stressed. And for her, it's like watching people clean their houses. She's like, I feel good, better.
I didn't even know there were videos of people cleaning their houses.
Yeah.
And now
There's a
Find
thing for
video of
everybody.
everything. There is a guy that I watch that dresses up in like a 1700s costume,
okay.
and he cooks historic recipes
Fucking love
from like
that.
the 1700s.
I
Wow.
love that.
I do like that.
He
a
like
lot.
has like he does reenactments. He has like a garage that he transformed into like a kitchen from the 1700s.
Oh, I fucking
and
love
he's
it.
like, this is how they made beef pie.
You know what? YouTube, I gotta be honest, like YouTube can be like a trash place, but it is also one of the best places on earth
yeah.
because
Oh, I
it's just
know.
like, I love that we've just given like carte blanche, like
Yeah.
freedom to just do whatever
Whatever you want out there,
Well,
someone's going to be interested
They're in it.
it.
They're into
Yeah.
it.
Do you know how many things I like don't know how to do, and the first thing I do is either Google
YouTube it.
them or go
Yeah.
on
YouTube.
YouTube,
Of course.
and I'll look it up, and I'm like, oh well, I feel vindicated because 70,000 people have watched this video on how to sign
And they
a check.
did not know.
Right.
You're
I'm
like,
glad
yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, I figured out on YouTube how to like anchor a screw into a wall, and I was like, I'm Chip
go.
Gaines now. I'm fucking
Gains.
Oh, I love me some HG. I have to say, I have seen a upward trend in house flipping, house renovation romance novels.
Really?
Oh, I will
They
watch
are
that.
out
Oh,
there.
I'll watch that. Mhm.
Okay.
I want to see you fuck on like a half constructed
Yes.
staircase. Like,
Yeah,
let's
they
do
are out
this.
there. I've read a few of them.
Sawdust everywhere.
Fight about shiplap and subway tile.
So good. Yeah. No, those are the two
Backsplash.
things, right? For sure. Backsplash. Oh man. Yeah, no, there's so much out there. Like it's, obviously I would say you can always check out Boobies and Noobies and see what we've read. And
Yep.
typically I try to pick things that I know people are going to enjoy. Like I don't like ripping things apart, except when I'm with you guys.
It's all we know how to do.
We're the worst.
But no, we really we just started season 3, and I feel like for season 2 we had like a ton of fantastic reads, like all in a row.
Right.
And I'm really proud of, in February we did Black History Month, and so everything we read were by Black authors. They featured main characters that were all of color, and the reading was fantastic. It's some of my favorite books
Right.
we've read for the podcast.
I love
And
that because I do feel like I really wanted to go see that movie, The Photograph, which I still want
Which
to
I did
watch.
see.
Did you
Yeah.
like it?
And I
I want to
loved
go
it.
see it so bad because it's Lakeith Stanfield and
Issa
Issa Rae,
Yeah.
and it's two Black leads in a romantic comedy, and I feel like Black
good.
people are so underrepresented in rom-coms, like in the romantic genre. They're just not seen in this
They're
like
always like the best friend.
right,
they're being a
or they're
caricature.
Yeah.
sexualized, but it's not
Yeah.
romance. It's not like
Right.
love, and so I
good.
love that. I would love to check out some of those books for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hope you do. So, I mean, I always tell everybody, the reason I came up with the podcast is I'm like, I want everyone to give romance a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's so much out
Yeah,
there.
there really is. And if you like the historical, there's tons of great stuff that way. I tend to steer a little more towards contemporary just because
Same.
I can picture myself in contemporary. So it's easier for
Oh, I like to picture myself in like I want to picture myself in a corset.
There you go.
I want to have some big ass hair. Let's do this. Yeah,
We can
into
make that
Yeah, yeah. Like, give me like what? I want to read like a pirate erotica novel. I want to read.
Which, you know what? I get a lot of requests for pirate romance, and it's out there. A lot of it is not good. And I'm so sad. Like, I am always looking for a good pirate romance, and I'm not finding a lot of it.
That's a bummer. It's what I went and saw Pirates of the Caribbean 4 times in theaters when I was 14, and I think it really shaped me developmentally, like
Yeah.
in a
There we go.
sexual way.
Writing it right now.
In a
There we
sexual
have it.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I must have.
Yeah.
Good.
Must have.
Keegan's writing
pirates.
it currently.
Yes, I will
I
go
hope
home and
you
get
do.
started. Just I've got time, guys.
Yeah.
We're all at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you have a good pirate romance novel,
please send it my
Please.
way.
Write
Subject
us.
line.
We'll take it.
My
We will
Worst Date
absolutely.
podcast gmail.com. You can also, you absolutely should check out Boobies and Noobies. It's a fantastic podcast, and Kelly's a fantastic human. So thank you so much for coming out today.
Where can we find you? What are your handles?
We're on Twitter and Instagram at Boobies Podcast. It used to just be Booby, and somebody told me, well, it should be 2, so I changed it.
Okay.
Yes.
Boobies
Got it.
Podcast, and I got a Facebook page. I'm a little less frequent with that one. We're
Right.
also on Patreon, so if you do want to
Perfect.
show a little bit of love, we're over there as well. And I'm hoping to be launching the Boobies and Noobies website in the next month or so. So
Nice.
Exciting.
yeah, got to make it official, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we hope you enjoyed your bonus episode, and we love you so much.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media podcast.